Section 7.2.2, Recon with Nslookup, Part 3.
This is a demo of the Nslookup command. We're going to start with the interactive Nslookup. At the prompt, type in Nslookup and hit enter. Notice that the prompt is now gone. It no longer says Callie, etc. You just have a prompt. That means you are inside the Nslookup program, and any commands you type at the prompt must be commands that are available in Nslookup. Now we're going to type in the name of the domain, sans.org. That's who I would like information about. I specifically want the IP address of this domain. I hit enter, and here's the information I get back. The first part is just about my domain name server that's providing the DNS service for me. This shows the IP address of that DNS server for this range, 10.15.0.2. Then it's followed by the answer to my query. I wanted to know what the IP address was for sans.org, and it answered me with 2 IP addresses, and it says this is a non-authoritative answer. You're almost always going to see that in your Nslookup responses. All that this means is that it was either an internal server or your internet service provider that gave this answer, and that it wasn't coming directly from the name server at sans.org, or it wasn't coming directly from the top-level domain server, and that's normal. Let's try another domain, comptia.org. It answers with 4 IP addresses, but notice that 2 of these are IPv6. The default action for Nslookup is to return any IPv4 and IPv6 addresses. But what if we only wanted the IPv4 addresses? The key to fine-tuning our Nslookup queries is to select a type option. How do we do that? We use the word set space type equals A, which is the option for returning IPv4 addresses. Hit enter and ask again for comptia.org. This time the information returned is just the 2 IPv4 addresses. But what if we have an attack that works when carried only in IPv6 packets? Then we can set the type to AAAA and keep looking at domains until we find those that use IPv6. How about IBM.org? It does. What about cyberstart.com? In this case, we get what looks like an error message. Can't find cyberstart.com, no answer. Well, this only means that a search specifically for IPv6 addresses comes up empty since this organization doesn't use IPv6. Let's move on to investigate mail servers. We'll set type equals MX. This will return info identifying the organization server that handles email, and whether it's hosted by the organization or by a third party like Google. picoctf.com. Here we see that the picoctf mail server is in Google, so this is a Gmail organization. How about tesla.com? This answer indicates they use Microsoft Outlook. This info will be useful reconnaissance if we want to use an email or a phishing attack. Now let's take a look at using non-interactive Nslookup. It is convenient to set the type from inside interactive Nslookup as we just did. You can set the type and then do lookups on quite a few domains. But the type option can also be used in non-interactive versions of Nslookup. Let's go back to the terminal prompt by typing exit and clicking enter. We're now at the regular prompt, and we can use Nslookup directly from the command line. As you can see, this returns exactly the same information as we received from inside interactive Nslookup. So let's try a few more types. In this case, we're going to insert type directly into the string of our command. So we start with Nslookup space dash type equals txt. We'll be looking at the text data in a DNS record, which is typically used to provide verification details to vendors or sources outside the domain, providers like Google, Office 365, Slack. They often require a special verification code via the text record to be added into your DNS zone. That way you prove to them you are the actual owner of that particular domain name. Let's look at rutgers.edu. From the results, we can see that Rutgers has verification codes for several cloud services, including Zoom, DocuSign, Facebook, Apple, Smartsheet. This could be very useful for Recon as it allows us to target our attack to the software that is actually used by the organization. The last type we will look at is the SOA, which stands for Start of Authority. This record contains the contact information for the domain administrator. By using this type in our Nslookup, we can often find out if an organization belongs to a larger domain. Here's an example, mint.com. In these results, what we care about is this mail address of the administrator for the domain. Notice it doesn't say mint.com, it says intuit.com. That indicates that intuit.com is a parent organization of mint.com. This could be very interesting when we are expanding our Recon information about possible targets. This was a general overview of using the Nslookup tool. There are many more options, and you can see them all by using the man record for Nslookup. Try out these different options to get a true feel for how much great reconnaissance data can be found using Nslookup.
What methods can we use to secure against reconnaissance that uses Nslookup searches? The information in DNS databases must be publicly available for the domain name system to work. That means organizations can't make a choice to keep their DNS information private and stop hackers from doing recon on their domain with tools like Nslookup and DNS Dumpster. To address security on this topic, organizations must make the effort to consistently look at what information is available in an Nslookup of their domain, and also decide whether the TXT data in the record can be reduced.